BET is up for grabs or for sale.
Right.
The folk at, what is it, Paramount? Is that no Amazon?
Well,
Amazon, I think
Viacom bought it a long time
Viacom.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not so sure.
Yeah, Viacom. I'm sorry. So Puffy is now in the mix along with Tyler Perry and Byron Allen. Somebody cleverly said, why don't those three of them work together? Why y'all vying for? Why not come together? Isn't that what they do in the NFL? I don't know. Right. What are y'all doing? Just come together. It's okay. You can all get credit. Egomaniacs. All right, I'm gonna play this clip from. I said it at me, at Karen Hunter somewhere. Just at Karen in Nubia, but you got to have a membership, so you probably won't be there. But this is from Earn Your Leisure. He was having a conversation about him. I'll play the clip, and then let's discuss it.
Last week, when the news broke that Paramount Global was selling, BT, which includes BT, BT Plus, and VH1, everybody was on Twitter. A lot of, back and forth, people saying like, media is not important. Who cares? Nobody watches BT anyway. So I don't think that people fully understand the importance of media, right? This is something I really want to talk about. There's really three ways to control the masses: religion, school, education, and media. Religion, extremely difficult to change somebody's religion. Schooling takes years to fully execute properly, and it's still not really done at an efficient level. Media, you can literally watch an hour video on YouTube and think you're an expert on something. You can literally change somebody's mind by watching a documentary. Think about how many people became vegan after watching What the Health. That's a 2-hour video. This is why a lot of billionaires that have nothing to do with media buy media companies like Jeff Bezos, like Elon Musk, like Mark Benioff, the list goes on. Right. So now let's drill this down a little bit further. When you look at media in this country, less than 3% of the media is owned by Black people. 95% of Black-owned media is focused on sports, entertainment, and celebrity gossip. So what does that leave us with? That leaves us with media that we have no ownership in, no control in, no interest in, that's literally dictating our lives, and in a result, controlling how we think. So it is extremely important that Black people have their own media arm. Al Jazeera's a media arm for the Arab world. Telemundo, a media arm for the Latinx world. Fox, a media arm for the Republican Party. MSNBC, a media arm for the Democratic Party. I can go on and on, right? So it's encouraging when we hear, Tyler Perry and Byron Allen are, looking to buy it. And then we heard Diddy as well. So obviously we have a lot of relationships, right? Good friends with the people at Revolt. So when I heard Diddy was actually looking, I said, okay, let me dig a little further. I called Dion. And I said, what does this really mean? Like, be honest with me. And he gave me the play. And what he told me was something that was actually pretty impressive, where his plan, Diddy's plan, is not to buy it individually, is not control it individually, it's actually to put together a super group of the top Black people, right? Everybody that you would probably think of in the world of sports, entertainment, business. And what does that look like if all come together at a round table?
Boo. And all right, pause. That's where it goes off the rails for me. Who are you to determine who the top Black people are?
right.
That's how we got here. This is how we got here. The hand-picked me Negroes that are already, to me, colonized in a way because they are participating in the NFL Super Bowl. So they may have money and influence and a lot of followers, but they don't have us at the center and our future at the center of their movement, including Diddy.
Right.
And especially Byron Allen. Stop it. This to me is the problem.
Right. And I mean, you're doing the old talented 10th. And listen, I don't know.
It's not even a talented 10th, though, Sunn Michelle. Mm-hmm. It's not even a talented, at least a talented 10th, there was a metric. PhDs, you had some education, you had some, you cut your teeth in serving Black people at some point at the highest level. Maybe you were Boule and then all of the fraternities and sororities, but there was an aspiration to be better.
I think that a part of the reason is because we keep assuming that success means money. Like we associate success with money.
Right.
And we say things as a cliche, like, I got no money, but I'm the richest man in the world. Like it's very poetic, and people don't take it seriously because, but that's just a poetic line. But I do know people who live a good, fulfilling, well-rounded life. They die content, who are not rich. Some of them didn't have very much money at all, and they were still able to carve out a very rewarding, fulfilling life for themselves and left lots of gems behind, to live by. And let's keep it 100 here. You cannot become a billionaire ethically. Full stop. You absolutely cannot become a billionaire ethically. There's no such thing as an ethical billion made by an individual. In order for you to hoard that much money, in order for you to get that much money, in order for you to gain that many assets in a capitalistic system that is inherently predatory, you have to prey on someone.
Wait, hold on, son. Oprah?
Predator. And I say respectfully.
No, he said predator without missing a beat. All right, you said you cannot be a billionaire unless you've exploited somebody, or you can't get there ethically, and you said people are predators.
Right. Well, and even and I give an example of the thing with Oprah, because and this is no different than Mark Zuckerberg or any of the other billionaires who are taking advantage of this. But one example would be right now in the island of Hawaii, the natives are running out of space to live in their own homeland because of gentrification and just urban sprawl and corporatization of private property. Well, of public property that's being privatized. And in the midst of all of this, you can't miss it. There's no way that you can miss the story, the plight of the people that's being put out there. And Oprah just bought more property, bringing her land ownership up to about 1,000 acres. 1,000 acres. If you're not giving that back to the people, if you're not using that in some way that's for the people of those islands, and I think Zuckerberg has like 1,500 acres over nearly 1,500 acres. When you're billionaires who are swooping into these vulnerable communities and taking resources from them that cannot be replaced and boxing them out to the point where they are now going from living in their environment, their ancestral lands, to having to be warehoused in these concrete boxes in the city away from their culture, then what else do I call that but predatory? What other thing would I call?
I mean, you're saying something that I can't argue with, but maybe Oprah knows we're on the precipice of nuclear war, and and she's building the underground bunker so that she is still here when the rest of us gotta figure it out. Maybe she knows something we don't know, son.
Right. And there's a thing that I was talking about earlier with a friend of mine about resources, when they were saying something about the planet being overpopulated. The planet is not overpopulated. We are not running out of many of the resources that we think we're running out of. What's happening is the few people who own the most money are hoarding these resources and these lands for themselves. If you think of all the private property that's owned by a corporation, that's owned by a government, and I'm using the term owned loosely, owned by private citizens, that the general public are not able to access, legally at least, not able to access. Even lands that are so-called protected, that are being exploited by certain companies. Right now with the Willow Project, with the offshore drilling, the Biden administration, kind of okay, but it didn't start with the Biden administration. These types of things, when you think in terms of resources and who is entitled to exploit the resources, is a very small percentage of people who are having a major impact on the majority of the people who don't have access to those resources. And I'm sure you remember like the Exxon spill. Well, I mean, that could possibly happen again. And who ends up footing the bill when disaster strikes? The very same people who were cut out of the equation of accessing those things in the first place. And so that's what I'm saying is you can't get to that level where you can have it. And I want to say this, I think that the consumer also we have to play our part. If people complain about Diddy and rightfully so, complain about the business dealings of Diddy and how he did his artist, but you buy the records. but you support the product. You do all the things necessary to put money in these people's pockets. You do the things because maybe you love the artist, but you know that the artist is getting jerked in that deal for the music that you just bought. So did you really support the artist in these 360 deals?
Dr. Michaud, not related to Oscar Michaud, but it nods to Oscar Michaud, I'm sure. You're asking us to be conscious, Sunn.
Accountable.
No, I'm being facetious and also little, using a little irony, because I feel like most of us we live a life where we are not accountable at all, and you know how I know? Y'all still watching football, and don't get mad when I say it, right? As if, this is a league that feeds off of exploiting our talent to the detriment of the little brain cells and all. Right. And you still, and not even mentioning the racism, the harm that is doing, but we like our team. So I'm not willing to give that up. So I'm going to still watch it. F you, Karen. I know y'all, but either you are about it or you're not. And it's okay to not be about it, but don't pretend.
Well, I will say this in regards of exactly what you're talking about, to your point. There are going to be more people in each movement, in any situation where progress needs to be made. Just know that the reason that progress is made historically in a timeline of mankind has very seldom been because there was an immediate groundswell of people, like the popular, the people who want to change outnumber the people who didn't want it. Like, it started out in many instances, even when there was a major revolution, there were some agitators. It started with a few people who just kept agitating, a whisper campaign, someone who said that this ain't right, something that sparked the fire that spread. But everyone didn't just automatically in one swoop say, yeah, we need to change this. So the change that we're looking for, the same way that there are a minority of people who own the majority of resources, there's always been that voice. There's been that few people who are willing to go out, the maverick, the martyrs, the people who are willing to go out on their shield. I think that's what we're looking for. Even with the technology thing that you were talking about, you may not be able to get the people who are looking for the payday up front, but I do think that if you can get together an A team, get an A team together, who can play their position and let it start with something, because people root for the underdog, but they follow the big dog.
That's
and at
true.
the end of the day, if we can create a network of people who care, people who have resources to follow through and turn that care to action, I think it can inspire more people who weren't on board at first to come along. But much like the Noah's Ark fable, sometimes you got to kind of build the ark, and people find out after the fact that they should have got down when the time came.
All right. Well, I'm trying to become one of them unethical billionaires so I can do exactly what you're saying.